I noticed that she had one on her back. And this is my mother we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what the F did you do?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
exactly.
like
So
that.
she goes, well, I've had it for a few years. And I was like, what were you giving me a hard time about when I got mine?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you're one of my babies. Basically, I said, Mom, I'm a grown man. But you'll always be my baby. Got that kind of argument. So years later, right, I get into a relationship with my ex-wife.
Yeah.
And the first time she sees it, we happen to be taking a shower.
There you go.
Together.
Doesn't hurt.
And she starts taking the scrunchie or whatever you call those little things you wash your body with.
Yeah, man.
To trying to scrub the thing off, dude. And I'm like, wow.
Feeling the love there.
Yeah. She got used to it. I mean, I even mentioned to her while we were still married that I was thinking about at a certain time getting another one, and she had no issues with it. That she might even get a matching one depending on what I got. That never took place, but I still got the one. But that's my little story with my mom and my ex-wife in regards to the tattoo I have.
Well, years ago, I used to work with some individuals, and this one guy is really cool. Got to know him really well. He had a lot of work on him. And on his neck, he had this one tattoo. And so I asked him one time, I said, what the hell is that on your neck? And he just looked at me and goes, I don't know. How the hell do you not know what's on your neck? And he goes, well, I was at this party, and next thing I knew, I woke up the next morning and my neck was hurting me.
Oh no, not one of those.
I stumbled over to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and went, oh fuck, I got a new tattoo. I'm like, well, okay, that's something else. And then a few years ago, I know this one person, and I asked him, he has tattoos on the back of his legs and some other ones. I said, wow, what's the story? We were just talking about tattoos, and he goes, oh yeah, I got this one. I'm still living at home with my parents, and my father saw it and said, pack your shit up, you're leaving. He goes, well, I got it because if I remember correctly, his grandfather passed away, and so it was in honor of his grandfather, and he tried to explain that to his father, and his father said, no, there isn't any tattoos in this house. You need to leave now.
Wow. And
so he had to leave that day and try to find a place to stay until he was able to actually get his own place and get on his feet. So, I mean, you go from one extreme to the next, and then there's other people that are like, hey, if you want to get one, tell me, I'll go with you. We'll make sure we get an artist that you like, and they'll do the work in a professional atmosphere and get done the way it should be. So it runs the gamut. I have a relative that has one across the chest, and other ones on the arms and so forth. But again, I think it depends on you as an individual, what it is that you decided that you wanted on you, and probably the location of where it is as well. But yeah, it's interesting, and that form is interesting because this day and age, the technology and what you can do and how talented some of these artists are, it's amazing. Yeah,
their art skill is top notch nowadays. I mean, I know there's not a lot of work on this. I mean, but back in the day, there was a little bit more detail, but because it's always covered up, it hasn't gotten a lot of sun exposure, so it hasn't faded away. What other items piss you off, or what's your?
Hit me with the runner. What are you thinking?
Talk
to me,
what else pisses you off that maybe you've seen lately that just gets under the devil's skin?
Well, let's see. I think people that I think there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure wherever you are in the world. And I think I mentioned to you before that I'm in a very difficult place financially, and it's going to be like that for some time.
Yep.
Now, a lot of individuals, if they're in a similar situation, they could be freaking complete assholes, walking around with attitude, drinking too much, doing drugs, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not really my thing. My thing is just trying to maintain the direction that Runner and I are going in, and understand that this is just a period of time that I will be in this situation, and every day you move forward and you try to move past it. Now, I've experienced individuals where I'm employed, like this one older lady, and every time I run across her, she's complaining about this person, this, that. And I looked at her at one time, I said, "What's wrong?" She just looked at me. "Well, this is what's going on, that's what's going on." I looked at her, and if I recall correctly, I said to her, "Well, you know what they say." And she goes, "What's that?" I said, "Well, if it's not your thing, then it's none of your business, right?" "Well, they said," and you know what they say. "Well, what do they say?" "It's none of your business what someone thinks of you, but it's your business what you think of yourself."
That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point.
So that's, in a sense, hey, we're here, we're moving through things.
Yeah.
We have issues that we're working through financially and otherwise, family-wise and so forth. We're out there, just like you, trying to get through things. So
if you're part, I think what the devil's trying to convey is basically, if you're in that tough spot financially or what have you, then don't turn to booze, don't turn to drugs, don't be all woe is me. And if you need a break from doing some honest living and some honest thinking, tune us in. I mean, we're here. Like the devil said, we're trying to do a better thing for us. We know we're not going to get there right away with listeners and things like that, but on top of that, or besides that, the devil and I are making a point to take time to do it and share whatever knowledge we can with you, the listeners, because there's some experiences that the devil has done. You can go check out his YouTube channel, The Path. Let's Do Life Together. If you want to learn a little bit more about him, scroll down once you're on his page. Scroll all the way down to the bottom video. That will be the first one, so you'll kind of get a little bit of insight. Plus, you'll get an idea of what the devil looks like.
I'm a good-looking damn guy. That's what I look like.
Yeah.
And the thing though too is we've all had issues. I don't think anyone has grown up in a wonderful family setting that I know of. Okay.
Who was your?
Yes.
Who was the go-to person? Even, I mean, because it's going to even go back when you were married. Who was the go-to person that you're just like, man, I just got to get some things off my chest. I need somebody to talk to. Who was that person for you?
Who's that person for me?
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. I'll have to be thinking on that.
Okay. You want me to answer the question?
You go answer that question.
All right. So for the longest time, I was the middle of three boys in my household. I got teased for it by my older brother. He called me a mama's boy, which, okay, I took that as a badge of honor, kind of like the devil's taking on his alter ego. So my mom, when I was growing up, after I got married, believe it or not, it was my spouse.
Yes.
Unless, of course, I was having problems with her.
Uh-huh.
But I've described our relationship with her to you in the past, off air, of course.
Yeah.
And for that, while he was alive, it was usually my grandfather. My grandfather was my go-to guy because he had this vast knowledge. And he was the type of person that could easily, if I was stressing, he had a joke lined up to take the seriousness out of the situation. He basically take me off topic, tell his joke, and usually it was dirty, and those are the best ones for me.
There you go.
And then I would just tell he's like, yeah, it's not, I shouldn't be upset or anything like that. That was my go-to guy.
Now, when I was a kid growing up, I really didn't have someone like that.
Okay.
There wasn't really anyone there. I had one uncle. Every once in a while, he was kind enough to take us to go see like a basketball game or something to that degree.
Okay.
But that was when I was quite young. There wasn't really anyone that was there. I have another uncle. He didn't that neither one of them knew what was really going on in the household with with the drinking and so forth. I have another uncle more recently. He helped me through a difficult time when I was going through my divorce. I did not have a place to live. I was able to stay with him for a brief period of time because it was either that or sleeping in my car. So when I was a kid, I had a relative. He came in one time and he basically tossed some books by me. And so the author of those books, I've read almost all of his books. So I would read some of his stories.
Sure.
And try to understand, try to pick out segments of that I could apply to my own life. Now, did I have someone I could look up to that would be there for me? No. Was it my father? No. Was it my siblings? No. Was it my mother? No, not really. Was it the teacher at school or teachers at school? No. There really wasn't anyone there. Now, I had a sibling of mine. I started to kind of veer off course, and this person corrected me. And my thought was simply, I just needed to really get through this time. And as you mentioned earlier, Runner Boy, I wish I knew you years ago. You wouldn't have recognized me years ago.
Right.
Because...
Well, even seeing the image on your badge from where you work.
Yeah.
You just like night and, it was like night and day. It was like, wow, this is you?
Yeah, and that's the thing about being in a relationship. I was married, obviously, and there's a lot of aspects of that relationship that it just wasn't really meant to be. I didn't really have any support from her. And I was trying to lose weight, and I was trying to eat better. I was trying to do things that would benefit me and improve my situation, not only for myself, but for the nucleus of the family. And it was like one insult, one put down after another, which oddly enough, it was basically how I was raised to a degree. And I just got to the point where it was, this is what I'm doing, and this is the reason why I'm doing it, and I hope that